Ben Affleck finally revealed what really ended his marriage to Jennifer Lopez, and his confession is more brutal than anyone expected. This past March, 3 months after their divorce was finalized, Ben sat down for his first interview addressing the end of their marriage. And while he didn't use those exact words, "She wasn't who I thought," what he described paints a devastating picture of a man who married someone twice and both times discovered he couldn't handle who she actually was. You don't marry a ship captain and then say, "Well, I don't like going out in the water," Ben admitted. He was confessing that he knew who Jennifer was when he married her. He knew she lived her life publicly, shared everything with fans, turned relationships into content, and he married her anyway, thinking he could handle it, but he couldn't. And what Ben finally revealed about why their marriage collapsed isn't about affairs or betrayals, it's about something far more devastating. Realizing the person you love requires things you fundamentally cannot give. After 20 years and 2 failed attempts, Ben Affleck is finally telling the truth about what went wrong. To understand what Ben Affleck finally revealed about his marriage to Jennifer Lopez, you have to understand why this second attempt felt like it should have worked and why it was doomed from the start. Ben and Jennifer first met on the set of the movie Giggly back in 2002. By November of that year, they were engaged. The term Benifer was born, and they became the most photographed couple in Hollywood. But by 2004, the engagement was off. The pressure of constant media attention had destroyed what they tried to build. They spent 17 years apart. Jennifer married Mark Anthony, had twins, and divorced. Ben married Jennifer Garner, had 3 kids, and divorced. Both went through other relationships, other heartbreaks. Then in 2021, they reconnected. The world watched as Benifer 2.0 became official. In April 2022, Jennifer announced they were engaged 20 years after the first proposal. On July 16, 2022, they married in Las Vegas. 1 month later, they had a larger ceremony in Georgia on August 2022. For 2 years, they sold the world on the idea that true love can survive anything, that they'd learned from their mistakes, grown as people, and were finally ready to make it work. Then on August 20, 2024, exactly 2 years after their Georgia ceremony, Jennifer filed for divorce. The separation date was listed as April 26, 2024. And when Ben finally broke his silence in March 2025, what he revealed was this: they hadn't learned anything. They hadn't changed. They were the exact same people with the exact same incompatibilities that broke them the first time. In March 2025, Ben Affleck sat down with GQ magazine and said things about his marriage to Jennifer Lopez that he'd never said publicly before. And reading between the lines of his carefully chosen words reveals a devastating truth. There's no scandal, no soap opera, no intrigue Ben started. The truth is, when you talk to somebody, "Hey, what happened?" Well, there is no, "This is what happened." It's just a story about people trying to figure out their lives and relationships in ways that we all sort of normally do. He continued, "I guess there's a tendency to look at breakups and want to identify root causes or something, but honestly, the truth is much more quotidian than probably people would believe or would be interesting. Quotidian, ordinary, mundane." Ben was saying his divorce from Jennifer Lopez wasn't caused by dramatic betrayal. It was caused by boring, normal incompatibilities. But when pressed for specifics, Ben shut down. "The reason I don't want to share that is just sort of embarrassing. It feels vulnerable." Think about what that admission means. Ben Affleck, who's discussed addiction, mental health, and personal failures publicly, said talking about why his marriage failed feels too vulnerable. What could be more embarrassing than trying the same relationship twice and failing twice? Then Ben said the line that reveals everything. You don't marry a ship captain and then say, "Well, I don't like going out in the water." You've got to own what you knew going into any relationship. He was admitting that he knew who Jennifer was when he married her. He knew she was someone who lived publicly, who shared everything, who turned her life into content. He married her knowing all of that, and then couldn't handle it when she did exactly what he knew she would do. That's not "she wasn't who I thought." That's "she was exactly who I thought, and I thought I could handle it, but I was wrong." If you want to see the moment Ben Affleck realized he'd made a terrible mistake marrying Jennifer Lopez, just watch the documentary they made together in February 2024. The Greatest Love Story Never Told was supposed to be a celebration of their rekindled romance. Jennifer made it as a companion to her album about their relationship, but what it actually documented was a marriage already collapsing under the weight of fundamental differences that neither of them could overcome. Throughout the documentary, Ben looks visibly uncomfortable. In one scene, Jennifer tells him she's making their relationship the center of her art. You can see Ben's face tighten. He tries to smile, tries to be supportive, but his body language screams misery. In another scene, Ben speaks directly about his feelings on privacy. Getting back together, I said, listen, one of the things I don't want is a relationship on social media. He explained that when they first got engaged in 2002, media attention destroyed everything. He thought this time would be different. He thought they'd learn to keep things private. But Jennifer made an album about their love, a documentary about their relationship. She shared intimate details with millions of fans, and Ben found himself right back where he'd been 20 years earlier, performing his relationship for public consumption while dying inside. When Ben spoke to GQ about the documentary, he chose his words carefully. Part of it was, okay, if I'm going to participate in this, I want to try to do it in an honest way, because I thought it was an interesting examination. He praised Jennifer. There are a lot of people who have handled celebrity more adeptly than I have, Jennifer among them. My temperament is to be a little bit more reserved and private than hers. As happens in relationships, you don't always have the same attitude towards these things. That's Ben's diplomatic way of saying, I'm a private person who married a public person, and I couldn't reconcile that difference no matter how hard I tried. He added, I love and support this person. I believe in them. They're great. I want people to see that. Notice what he's admitting there. He participated in the documentary not because he wanted to, but because he wanted to support Jennifer. He was trying to be the partner she needed, someone who would participate in her public life willingly. But then he said something crucial. I think it's important to say that wasn't the cause of some major fracture. It's not like you can watch that documentary and go, oh, now I understand the issues that these two had. By denying the documentary was the problem, he was actually confirming it. Because if it wasn't the issue, why did he need to say that so emphatically? The documentary revealed the core truth of their marriage. Jennifer needed a partner who would live life publicly with her. Ben needed privacy and boundaries. Neither could give the other what they needed without being fundamentally unhappy. Imagine being Ben Affleck in that moment, participating in a documentary about your relationship, knowing you hate every second of it, knowing this is exactly why your first engagement failed, and realizing you're making the same mistake again. That's when he knew. That's when he understood Jennifer wasn't who he thought, not because she changed, but because he'd convinced himself he could handle who she was, and he couldn't. What Ben said in his March 2025 interview is revealing, but what he refuses to say tells the real story about why his marriage to Jennifer failed. Back in 1999, when Ben was just 27 years old, he gave an interview to Playboy magazine that resurfaced after the divorce. In that interview, Ben described a pattern in his relationships that explains everything about how his marriage to Jennifer ended. Ben admitted that when he becomes unhappy in relationships, he doesn't leave. Instead, he stays quiet, keeps trying, and develops what he called passive-aggressive rage. He said, it's just that these relationships never end well. I think what happens is I end up wanting to be out of the relationship. That quote from 25 years ago describes exactly what happened with Jennifer. Ben didn't leave when he first became unhappy. He participated in the documentary he hated. He walked red carpets when he wanted privacy. He supported her public displays of their relationship while internally resenting every moment. By the time he finally admitted he wanted out, the marriage was already beyond saving. Sources close to Ben revealed something that confirms this pattern. One insider told Page 6, he has never and seemingly will never give himself over completely to another person. That's the truth Ben won't say publicly. He's fundamentally unable to give a partner the level of devotion they might need. Not because he doesn't love them, but because some part of him always holds back, always maintains emotional distance. Jennifer Lopez, according to multiple sources, wanted all-consuming devotion from Ben. She wanted someone fully present in the relationship, fully committed to building a public life together. She wanted a partner who would participate in her art, her projects, her persona without reservation. Ben wanted boundaries. He wanted to support Jennifer from a distance, rather than being woven into the fabric of her public life. He wanted the version of Jennifer he could handle. Private, contained, separate from the person millions of fans see. But that's not who Jennifer Lopez is. She's someone who shares everything, who turns her life into art, who needs her partner to be part of her public narrative. That's not wrong. It's just who she is. And Ben knew that when he married her. He knew it in 2002 when they first got engaged. He knew it in 2022 when they married. He thought he'd changed enough to handle it. He thought his love for her would be enough to overcome his need for privacy, but it wasn't. And by the time he realized that, he'd already committed to a marriage he couldn't sustain. The timeline of Ben and Jennifer's marriage shows exactly when Ben realized he'd made a mistake and how long it took him to admit it. In February 2024, Jennifer's documentary aired. Fans watching noticed Ben looked miserable throughout. Social media exploded with observations that he seemed trapped, like someone being forced into something he hated. That was Ben realizing in real time and on camera that nothing had changed since their first engagement failed 20 years earlier. By April 26, 2024, just 2 months after the documentary aired, Ben and Jennifer officially separated. Jennifer was in New York City for the Met Gala when they made the decision to live apart. Ben moved out of their shared mansion and into his own residence. For the next 4 months, they kept the separation quiet. They didn't make public statements or file paperwork. But sources say they were already living completely separate lives, both coming to terms with the fact that they'd tried twice and failed twice. Then came August 25th, exactly 2 years after their Georgia wedding. Jennifer filed for divorce on their anniversary, a deliberate choice that sent a clear message. I remember what this date meant, and I'm ending it right here. The divorce was finalized in January 2025. No prenup meant dividing everything from their 2-year marriage, including their $68 million mansion. Both waived spousal support and handled the financial separation relatively quickly. And then in March 2025, Ben finally spoke. He did one interview, said there was no scandal, admitted he knew who Jennifer was when he married her, and refused to give more details because it felt embarrassing and vulnerable. That timeline shows Ben didn't wake up one day and suddenly realized Jennifer wasn't who he thought. He knew from the beginning of their second attempt, possibly even before they married, that he couldn't give her what she needed. But he tried anyway, convinced himself he'd changed, and spent 2 years slowly drowning in a relationship he wasn't equipped to handle. When we say Ben Affleck discovered Jennifer Lopez wasn't who he thought, we're not talking about Jennifer changing or hiding who she was. We're talking about something more painful, Ben convincing himself he could handle the reality of who Jennifer is, then discovering he was lying to himself. Jennifer Lopez has always been exactly who she is. She's been a public figure since the 1990s. She's always shared her life with fans, turned her relationships into art, lived in the spotlight. When she and Ben first got together in 2002, that's exactly who she was. When they reconnected in 2021, she hadn't changed. Ben knew all of this. He'd experienced it firsthand during their first engagement. He knew the media pressure, the constant attention, the way Jennifer's life becomes public content. He had 20 years to understand exactly who she was before he decided to try again. So when their second marriage failed for the same reasons as their first engagement, it wasn't because Jennifer deceived him or changed on him. It was because Ben deceived himself about his capacity to be the partner Jennifer needed. In his GQ interview, Ben made this clear with his ship captain metaphor. You don't marry a ship captain and then say, well, I don't like going out in the water. He was admitting that marrying Jennifer and then complaining about her public life was like marrying a sailor and complaining about boats. It was his failure to accept reality, not her failure to be different. But here's what makes this even more devastating. Ben tried to change Jennifer anyway. Sources close to the couple told media outlets that Ben asked Jennifer multiple times to scale back her public sharing of their relationship. He wanted her to be less visible, less open, less herself. And Jennifer tried. She tried to give him more privacy than she'd given previous partners. But ultimately, asking Jennifer Lopez to be private is like asking the sun not to shine. It's fundamental to who she is. So, she wasn't who I thought actually means, I thought I could handle who she is. I thought I could ask her to be someone different. I thought my love would be enough to overcome our fundamental incompatibility. I was wrong about all of it. That's what Ben finds too embarrassing and vulnerable to say directly, because it requires admitting he made the same miscalculation twice, married the same woman twice expecting different results, and failed twice because he never actually changed. In the months since their divorce was finalized, both Ben and Jennifer have spoken about the split in the most careful terms, but their words reveal they've learned very different lessons. Ben's March 2025 interview emphasized respect and normalcy. He said multiple times, "This is somebody I have a lot of respect for." He framed the divorce as ordinary relationship incompatibility rather than any dramatic failure. But reports suggest Ben has been reaching out to Jennifer again recently, according to Page 6. If that's true, it raises a troubling question. Has Ben actually learned the lesson, or is he setting himself up for a third attempt in another 20 years? Jennifer, meanwhile, has been more direct about her growth. When she appeared on the Today Show, she said she spent the summer of 2024 learning she had to be good on her own. She added, "I'm not looking for anybody." She said publicly that making her new movie helped her survive a moment that was really difficult. She's framing the divorce as something she's processing through her art, exactly the way she always has, exactly the way Ben couldn't handle. The difference in their approaches reveals everything. Ben is still trying to maintain the image of the divorce being mutual and amicable, still protecting both of their reputations. Jennifer is acknowledging the pain and moving forward by being exactly who she's always been. Neither is dating anyone seriously right now. Ben was briefly spotted with Kit Kennedy in August 2024, 4 months after the separation, but that didn't develop into anything. Jennifer is focusing on her career and her children. They're both in the same Hollywood circles, both working on projects, both navigating life after failing at the same relationship twice. The question is whether they've finally accepted that some love stories aren't meant to work, no matter how many chances you give them. Ben Affleck finally revealed what really ended his marriage to Jennifer Lopez, and it's more devastating than any affair or scandal could have been. She wasn't who he thought, not because she changed or lied, but because he convinced himself he could handle the reality of who she is. He thought he'd changed enough, grown enough, loved her enough to accept that Jennifer Lopez lives her life publicly and turns her relationships into art, but he hadn't changed. And when he realized that 2 years into their marriage, the same incompatibilities that destroyed them in 2002 destroyed them again in 2024. Ben's refusal to give specific details isn't protecting a scandalous secret. It's protecting his ego from admitting he made the same mistake twice. He married someone who needs a public partnership when he fundamentally needs privacy. He thought love could bridge that gap. It couldn't. The truth Ben finally revealed is simple. You can love someone deeply and still be completely wrong for each other. You can try the same relationship twice, 20 years apart, with the same result. And sometimes the person you love is exactly who they've always been. You're just the one who refused to see it clearly. Jennifer Lopez wasn't who Ben thought. She was exactly who she always was, and Ben wasn't the partner he thought he could be. That's what really ended their marriage. Do you think Ben finally learned his lesson? Or will we see Jennifer 3.0 in another 20 years? Drop your thoughts below.